Hello! Ohabanwa! I'm Panna, a Japanese-American bilingual VTuber that lives in Toaru Mori, aka Toaru New York. I normally stream twice a week as Ochaberi with my partner in crime Kouko. In this video, I'll be explaining how to make the chocolate version of Hawaii's famous butter mochi cake. You'll need the ingredients listed next to me for this recipe. When I decided to make this, I assumed it was Japanese-Hawaiian fusion dessert. It seemed like a good assumption at the time, considering how the Japanese have been migrating to Hawaii since the 1880s, and about 15% of its current population's ancestry is Japanese. But shame on me for not researching beforehand. Lesson of the day, guys. Do some basic research before starting a project. Turns out, these delicious sweets actually originate from an Indian dessert called bebinca. The recipe was brought through Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines by the Portuguese colonies before it finally made its way to Hawaii. So if you're familiar with the Filipino coconut cake, bebinca, butter mochi cake is a very simplified version of it. But to connect this content to Japan, Okta Prefecture has also been making something called butter mochi since the medieval times. The butter mochi traditionally made by the Matagi groups there is something entirely different. Their butter mochi isn't baked, doesn't include rice flour, and was a vital food supply to withstand Okta's long, harsh winters. If the word matagi rings a bell, it's probably because you've read Golden Kamuy. Big same! Thank you, manga, for not only keeping me reading Japanese, but also teaching me about random Japanese history. Anyways, back to cooking. First, prepare the baking pan and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I prefer to butter then line the baking pan with parchment paper for extra assurance that I can remove the cake from the pan. Then chop up 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter to heat with the chocolate in the microwave for 30 seconds. Be sure to stir the butter and chocolate together as soon as it's ready. Grab a large bowl, then add 2 cups of granulated sugar and mix in the chocolate butter mixture. Add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 3 eggs, one at a time. Tomato. A can of coconut milk and evaporated milk. One tablespoon of baking powder, 1/4 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, and lastly 3 cups of mochiko flour. Roughly stir everything together, then use an electric mixer to do the rest, and incorporate air into the batter. Pour the batter into a baking pan, then bake for about an hour at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's done baking, poke it with a toothpick or chopstick and make sure it's cooked all the way through. Once it's done cooking, leave to completely cool. I recommend leaving it alone for several hours before trying some. But if you're like me and have a habit of thinking, what if the world explodes and I never get to know what this tastes like? Just dig in with some ice cream and live your best life. But be sure to leave some for later so you know what it tastes like when it's cooled. You know, for science. Thank you so much for watching! If you enjoyed this short video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you come back again for more.